We stand on a broken world. It has been through so much and witnessed empires rise and fall. Yet the one constant is mankind. They are strong, able to persevere and pick themselves back up out of the dirt. It gives me hope that perhaps humanity can once again achieve great things. It's people with extraordinary skill, people with strength, bravery, and cunning that define the future. That's why I possessed him. That's why I need him. We all need him.
Hello guys, my name is Łukasz Kubiak and this is Bartosz Moskała.
Hello.
And thank you very much. And we are co-owners of IMGN.PRO, global publisher and developer. And we are together with Full Theory. We are developing the 7 Days Long Gone. Sorry that the trailer wasn't, perfect, as we didn't expect it will be just, so bright here. So
if anyone would like to, if anyone like to see it or the whole presentation, we are happy to share it just after the presentation.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you will want to approach us, please do. And I wanted also to thank Pavel for inviting us once again.
Thank you very much, Pavel. It's great to be here again.
Yeah. I don't know if anyone has been last year on our lecture, but we have been graciously invited by Anča here and last year. And we were just, a year ago, we were just after the release of our first IP named KHOLAT. And it was a crazy time for us.
Absolutely.
Absolutely crazy.
And now we are here with 7 Days Long Gone. We are in the middle of the development, but during our traveling all over the world, we've got a lot of questions from the young developers. Okay, guys, so how to handle the development of the game, how you do it. So we decided that here in Žilina it's a great opportunity to tell you a little bit about it, how to handle development. So this is our main topic of today's presentation. And Bart will start with all these difficult topics of budgeting and time and stuff like that. So here you go.
Right. So we'll start from the unpleasant things, as those are usually the ones that people don't want to talk about, but they need to be discussed. And unfortunately, unless you are really let's say you're living on your own and you don't need to worry about your finances because you work someplace else and you get money from it. And if your other developers that are joining you have the same comfortable situation, then you can forget this slide. But otherwise, if we are talking about development that needs to be planned and one that you need to spend money with, then it needs to be properly planned. So, of course, the basic components seem very trivial, and most of you who are doing game development will know about that. But still, if someone is approaching for the first time, it seems very easy to handle, but definitely it's not.
Oh yes, it's
so one of the couple bullet points that we have here, the components, of course, if you are working internally, then you've got office to handle about, expenses that go along with it. You need to figure out how much of your work you want to do on outsource, which is a very important thing to have if you are doing it with a small team. And this is something quite crucial. I mean, we are doing, even though we are a team of 20 couple people right now working on 7, we still do a lot on on external teams. And I must say, one of the tips that I frequently share is that whenever you are approaching outsource, so you are approaching someone to do stuff for you, be sure that you check two basic things. One of them are recommendations of the team. There is always someone in the gaming industry that can recommend someone to you, or you can check the recommendations by them. So it's not a good feature to have if you are shy in the industry. I mean, right now, the access to the info is so good and so easy. Developers want to share. We are one of those who we very much like to share, because it's not. We are coming from a perspective that it shouldn't be some secret info for privileged people, but we are all in this industry, so we should share. So outsource recommendations and the quote, so the estimations of the price that you will pay. Basing from our example, when we were doing KHOLAT, we did KHOLAT firstly on PC, and then we ported it on PS4. And when we approached the PS4 topic, we wanted to check. We couldn't do the port ourselves because we are already focused on doing 7. So we approached several teams, and you wouldn't believe how different quotes I got when it comes to the service of porting our game. It differentiated so much that the best, let's say, the best offer, which was still provided by quality people, was 5 times less in money than the most
expensive one.
The most expensive point, yeah. And when I approached this,
guys are from the company called Bleedworks, so definitely.
By the way,
if you want to port the game, definitely you should check the Bleedworks. They are from Spain, and they are a bunch of awesome guys, really.
Yeah, they do amazing work. They are very likable and very easy to work with. So this is our recommendation to them. But like I said, I approached several companies, and if I would stop at 2nd or 3rd, then I wouldn't have met the guys from Bleedworks, and I would think that those first 3 offers were industry standard. And I would be so pissed later on to know that there was another solution. So never give up in trying to research as hard as possible in the outsource of your game.
Yeah, and always remember about counting everything twice. It's another bullet point. And because it's very easy to underestimate your budget, If you are calculating everything, you just easily can, you can count it twice, you can count it double, Because, okay, salaries and stuff like that, probably they wouldn't change until you will hire the new people to join your team. But there are things like localization, there are things like Q&A, there is a marketing, so you can spend really a lot of money on it. And Bart can say a couple of things about, for example, QA, how it was looking when we were doing KHOLAT, for example.
Well, KHOLAT was done by 3 teams. I mean, 3 teams in terms of QA on external basis. We needed to coordinate that, but without preparing the proper QA, I mean, the time for it's always very important to schedule it before. Like, if you think that QA will be easy and it will just take time, couple of friends, and it will go through, then it's not really the case. At least not with our title that was put.
That's why I'm so afraid of 7, because 7 it's a huge game. It's much more bigger than KHOLAT was. It has like, right now we've got like 7 different systems in the game. It's a fighting, it's a sneaking, all the dialogue systems, NPCs, so huge community and stuff like that. So the game is huge, so really I'm afraid of the QA.
That's true. Also, very often you hear about stories that developers are going on the Kickstarter and getting the funds, or at least they are aiming at funds that they think they will suffice, but it's rarely the case, because such external funding usually almost always have hidden costs, taxes and backers initiative and whatnot. So you hear many of those stories that even though the developer got the money that he wanted on Kickstarter, they hardly can make the game. So it's one of the common mistakes to have. You need to have a good budget, you need to have the safety buffer, and a lot of it. Because bad things happen, there are many costs that are hard to calculate, and that often come across only when you are already in development. So it's good to anticipate that as well.
Yeah, and that's the reason why you always need to check your accounts. Check it and check it again, because at some point you can find yourself in a situation when you are just running out of money, and that would be, well, that wouldn't be fun, Okay, let's go further.
Right, so once again, this is the diagram that should determine how the development works and not the other way around. So how much you can afford will indicate the time that you can spend with your team, and this should determine the scope of the game that you are making. And many developers are getting this wrong, like another way around. They think, firstly, they got the idea, and it's often a very ambitious idea.
Hey, let's make MMORPG with ultra-realistic graphic design. We are 3 young guys, and we are the students, and we want to make an awesome MMORPG based on a CryEngine.
There is nothing wrong with ambition, don't get me wrong, but it should be really met with what is the current situation on the market and your strength on the team.
And your skills.
And your skills as well. And what we want to reiterate here and to underline is it's better to have a released game, even in the scope, in not whole scope of your basic idea, but still to have it released, than a very ambitious super project that was never finished.
Yeah, KHOLAT basically was a walking simulator, and we've made it in a team of 9 people, sorry. And there wasn't a lot of systems in the game. The game wasn't really complicated, but still we've spent like more than a year on creating it. And it was really difficult. It wasn't easy. It was our first game. And I remember the most important part of the development process was releasing of the game. We really feel that we've created something. And this is the most important part of it all. So at the beginning, it's better to create a smaller project that you can handle, that you are able to develop, and releasing it. This is the most important part. Right now, when we've got some experience, we gained some experience with Unreal Engine 4, and we decided that right now we can do a bigger project, which 7 is, obviously. And it's not easy. Even with our team, even with experience, we are still learning a lot of things, because 7 is basically absolutely different game than KHOLAT was. Okay, so you've got money, you know for how long you can make a development, you know the scope of your game, so it seems that you need a team, that you need people to do it. Always try to tailor a team for your needs. So if you are making a small project, which is like, let's say, a walking simulator, you basically the most important part of it is a storyline. So you need good script writers, you need good level designers and stuff like that. You need really great 3D graphic designers. But right now, for 7, we are using, as you can see, we've got like 5 designers, because we've got pretty big map. Of course, it's not a Skyrim or The Witcher, but still, The levels in 7 are pretty huge. So we need 5 designers, and they are doing different things. Not only creating a map, but they are also creating NPC systems and stuff like that. So they are taking care of everything. 2 2D artists, because we've got really a lot of sketches, a lot of characters in the game, a lot of NPCs, a lot of monsters, a lot of really weird locations, because 7 is set in far future after the apocalypse, and it's a mix of, let's say, fantasy world and advanced technology world. So our 2D artists, they really need to use their imagination to create all these cool buildings and places. So yeah, there's really a lot of work. We've got 4 3D artists, so they are creating all these objects painted by 2D artists. Unfortunately, only 3 programmers, which is really pain in the ass. So if there are any programmers here, so guys, yeah, we're really looking for programmers, talented programmers.
We are very close away.
Yeah. 3 sounds and music designers. One of them is Marcin Przybyłowicz, the creator of the music for The Witcher 3. And I can, believe me, the music in 7 will be really awesome. Only 1 animator, but also we are outsourcing the work on the animations. And 2 producers, because a producer, it's a person who is taking care for everything that Bart say about the budget, about time, and about the vision of the game. So if you have the scope, you need to always, always need to look if your team is doing everything according to that scope.
That's one ungrateful job, and
yeah,
don't mistake anything for it. It's ungrateful because your team will probably
they will have a lot of ideas. They will have a lot of ideas. Yeah. They will have really a lot of ambitions, and that's awesome. This is absolutely great. But unfortunately, because of time, because of money, sometimes the producer needs to cut out this ambition, It's really painful, and in 7 we would love to make a lot of things. I don't know, multiplayer and then a lot of things. We would like to have like the map double the size of the map of our world, but we cannot afford it, and we need to remember about it. So we are always, we are always speaking with our team, and we are just saying them, okay, guys, this idea is cool, but stop it. Yeah. Please stop it.
So that's exactly what we mentioned previously: money times scope, and not the other way around. We are also making small steps ourselves, hoping that maybe a couple of years from now, we'll have such a budget that will provide us unlimited possibilities for our ideas.
Yay, that sounds cool.
But it is not this day.
Can you promise me? Okay, so about the scope, it's very important to have a design document. Is there any game developers right here? Yeah, so guys, probably you know that design document is really important part of development process. So these are like we said here, 10 commandments of your game. It's like a core rules of your game. That doesn't mean that that design document doesn't need to evolve. Yes, it does, absolutely, it should. But the core rules should be unchangeable. They are like, if you are making game like 7, which is, isometric, RPG, about a thief, set in a distant future, those are like 4 basic rules of our game. So we are not making like, I don't know, car driving or shooter or anything like that. We are always trying to remember about our core rules. Because if through the development process, if in any moment you will have like doubts, okay, maybe I need to change something, and you will be in the middle of the development process where all the systems are basically set, you are in, I don't know, alpha version of your game or something like that, you just need to go back to your design doc and read read it again and again and again, and you need to remember about the core rules, because it's not easy to change the core rules of your game during the development process. And you shouldn't do it, because basically you will exceed your time and you will run out of money. Want to say something about it? Okay. You want to go for it or not?
You can start. You can start.
It's here are a couple of obvious things, but you need to remember about it. So game development, it's always about giving the best of you. It's always about finishing your project, and it doesn't matter if there's 2 or 3 of you or 20 or 30 of you. You need to take care of your team, and you need to take care of the project, and you need to deliver. This is the most important thing. So you need to speak with your team, you need to control their work, you need to task assignments, and you need to take care for a good atmosphere, because creating games that isn't a work in I don't know, in a office or in a manufacturing or something like that. It should be fun, because we're all gamers and we love games, so creating games should be fun. So always remember about good atmosphere.
But even in such environment, like very positive and very friendly environment, you can find yourselves in everyday trouble. Like there are situations that happen to every other people, like absent livings and health problems and whatnot.
Yeah.
And you don't have we don't have that privilege that you can just substitute people here. So you need to take care of your people as best as possible, because in the end they are doing they are making what the game will be, and if without their core input, you are left with nothing, or you are left with something that you can do from scratch.
Always remember about testing every single part of your game. So if you have like I don't know, for example, in 7 we've got the Parker system. So we had like right now we had like I don't know 4 iterations of the Parker system, and they are still not good. We are still working on it, and it takes us some time. But like every single month we are testing it, and it's easy, because it's just running and jumping through the fences, climbing on the buildings, doing this cool Parker tricks and stuff like that. But it's still not working fine, so we still need to work hard on it. And even if you are not a programmer, but still you are a gamer, so you can take a look on something and you can say, hey, that looks pretty cool, that works fine, or no, I don't like it, it's awful, we need to change it. And remember about one important rule: always be honest with your team, always be a first critic. If you don't like something, remember it's all about time and budget, and if you don't like something, just tell about it to your team and think about how you can improve it.
Yeah, it's better to say it first and offhand than to harvest those bad emotions inside of you. And like, if you harvest them for too long, and if you don't like something that is happening and ongoing for like a long bit of time, then it's going to burst out in a volcano of bad things in the end. And you will be angry with yourself that you didn't do it at that point, and saying someone after that you did the right thing and you had it right, but someone is not the result really.
For example, in 7, as you can see on the screenshot just right here, it's pretty open world. It's pretty nice vista as for isometric game. But at the beginning, the first screenshots from 7, the world was pretty flat, and we were like, hey, if we are making a game about Div who can climb the buildings and everything, and he can use a Parker system, what the hell we are doing? Everything is flat. It's like in any typical isometric RPG. So we need a world built on the layers where you can have a beautiful vistas, but it's isometric. So you need to have a beautiful vistas down, and we need to recreate a map. So we recreated it, and right now our world looks like that. So you always have somewhere something nice to look at, and you have always a place where you can climb, or you can jump off, or basically anything.
And this proved to be the right direction, as
absolutely.
We went to PAX East in Boston with the first public show of 7 Days Long Gone, and we got over 30 previews there, and almost each and every of the media that played the game did review the game with the positive mark that the depth of the map is impressive. So this was a very good choice to make in the end.
Yes. All right, so it's another sad topic, because whatever you will do, and the guys who are making games, they know about it, you will always fail. You will always fail on some aspects of the game development. That's pretty obvious. It's just impossible to make a it's impossible to make a perfect development process. It's just not gonna happen.
Yeah, it's not. I don't think it's happening at all. I mean, we are also publishers. For those who doesn't know that, we started as a publisher 6 years ago, and we are meeting with a lot of developers, and we are having games pitched and all that. And I haven't heard a story in this time that someone would say, hey, from the start to the finish and to the release,
it was easy.
It was easy. Everything happened as I thought it should be, and it's a piece of cake. It's never like that. So yeah, we will always fail. And we did it also, like with KHOLAT, we made a lot of mistakes. And right now, it's good to learn on the mistakes, of course. It's best to learn on others' mistakes.
Yes.
But if you need to learn from your mistakes, if they don't kill you, that's okay. You will
make you stronger.
Stand up again, and you will do your thing.
It's good to remember about damage control. So if you are starting to see that process of creating of something, of some, I don't know, of some system in your game, it's taking too much time, it's better to think about plan B. So what to do, so what we can do if we can't make it work our way. So you can just take the part of the game, or you can just, cancel something, unfortunately, or you can go for outsource work and try to find someone who will help you to improve that particular aspect of your game. You can try to do it another way. You can just take your team and make a brainstorm about, recreating this particular part from scratch, like with the maps in 7. We were sitting for a couple of days thinking how we can recreate it, how we can make it better, and it's always helping. Maybe in a worst case scenario, you will just need to chop that part of the game, and that's it. But it is better to know about it before it will be too late.
And something that already Łukasz said, always be the first critic. Don't be shy of that. Being shy in this industry doesn't help a lot.
Nope.
And even if it's not, even if it doesn't go along with your nature, like, some people are like, introverts and all that, and doesn't like, to go to front the discussion. But without being open and plain about what you think, then, it will lead to multiple problems. So, yeah, speaking from our own experience.
Okay, and that's something that Bart can tell you a couple of things about it, because you've done your game, you are ready to release it, and what's going to happen next, Bart?
Yeah. So it connotates to the previous slide. This is one of the mistakes we have made with KHOLAT. Even though that we did a research and we wanted to have a good window of release. Something quite unexpected happened. We released in June, and usually, you know those Steam sales, right? They are happening, the summer sale.
Everybody knows Steam sales.
Summer sales is happening usually at the end of June each year, but not last year. Last year it happened at the beginning of June when we have planned KHOLAT's release. What happened is that we had release on 10th of June, and 2 days later, summer sales commenced at Steam.
And our release was basically smashed.
And we got overflowed at Steam. And as you know, Steam is crucial when it comes to the PC games and your visibility on the front. So this was one of the worst mistakes that we have made regarding the timeline. We thought that we are at least 3 weeks before the summer sales, and unfortunately this was not the case, and we suffered on it. So, to all of you out there, be sure not to make our mistake. Check out as best as possible the release dates, even if you have to write to people from those platforms, be sure to do it so you have clear conscience that you have done everything you can. Don't go near any big AAA releases because the media will concentrate on that. The same happens with whenever a big gaming event is on. Don't go anywhere near it with your release. Don't go anywhere.
Free Gamescom.
Because all the journalists, all the media will be busy with the stuff that is happening there. They will be just
focused on the event, not on the release date of your game.
Yeah, and if you do the research, try not to conflict with any other titles that are very similar to your game.
Yeah,
which might be hard to do because there are so many games coming out right now, and it keeps getting harder and harder to get a good window. And there are a couple of really preferable times for indie games, and you know that it is spoken all over the industry that you shouldn't go with your indie game inside of the 4th quarter of the year, and it's probably still the best time for you to get in the first 2 or 3 months of the year to release, because the major blockbusters are not feeling this title. I mean this time of the window.
Okay, wow. Okay. All right.
Click away.
Thank you very much. That was the last slide. Anyway, so thank you very much. If you have any questions, so just feel free to ask us.
If you have a question, raise your hand and I will pass the mic so everybody can hear.
Hi. Now that there are every time a bigger offer of games and games are getting longer, I feel like the consumers are getting more away from the equation of the money investment for a game versus the payout, and they're basing their decision more in terms of the time investment for the payout. Has a developer away from a walking simulator and now doing an RPG, is this something that you keep in mind, the time investment for the player versus the payout, or you just do your thing and hope that the player will want to invest that time?
I mean, yeah, that's true. When you look at statistics, there are so many people that don't even finish up the game. I mean, if you can check the stats on Steam, you know, there are like a couple of small percentage of players that actually finish those long RPG games. So what we are aiming at is, even though we are building up an action RPG, which is, you know, which should be rich in its favor, and you know, it should have all the characteristics of a good RPG game, we are not going to prolong the game to be artificially long for player to, you know, to need to spend, you know, 50, 60, 70 hours in the game. We are rather approaching this at an aim that we should deliver the most intensive experience throughout maybe 15 hours of the game. We are still working on the scope of the full game, but this is something that we took approach of. We also don't have like, we don't have the time and budget of like those big AAA studios which can afford, to have like 200 people hired and to have this development over for like 3 or 4 years. They need to have the gameplay hours there. We feel that we don't need to. We have features inside of the RPG that we want to bring as fresh, and we want to interest the players into that. We want to break the monotony of the isometric genre, which, it's really pretty flat, and, it's very static. So we want to be the first game that breaks those rules. We want to have this isometric feeling of the player that can climb everywhere, that can, do a lot of things that in a usual isometric traditional RPG they cannot do. And we are rather investing into that than investing into gameplay hours. So, yeah.
And we are not completely, running off from the walking simulators, because besides of 7, our smaller team is making a game called Husk, which is maybe not walking simulator. It's a FPS survival horror game inspired by the Alan Wake and Silent Hill, and it's very much in type of KHOLAT. So we are not really worried about it, but KHOLAT was always a game that we wanted to make. We really love horror games and stuff like that. So right now, after the KHOLAT, we are making the Husk, but 7, it's something different, something that we also wanted to try to do. We always want to try to make an RPG, and there was an opportunity because of the guys from the Full Theory. There was an opportunity to make it. So we just said, okay, let's make it. Let's do it. But still, we feel that we want to make another horror game. So here is Husk, and also we are doing it. So we are not running off from it.
I hope this answers your question. Thanks.
Thanks for the presentation. This is the first time I'm hearing of the game. Looks cool.
Thanks.
You talk mostly about development. My question is concerning more marketing and getting it out to the people. So there's lots of Let's Players now, and people playing games online and showing it to other people. Have you seen any sort of impact in your previous games, or do you expect that to have some sort of impact in the future? Or could you tell some stories, since you're both nodding, so there's obviously something there. Thanks.
Yeah. So as you probably know, our previous game, KHOLAT, was such a, let's say, a phenomenon on YouTube, throughout the Let's Players, that we had like incredible amount of views. We stopped counting even, like, tens of millions views. And if anyone would approach it from this side, from outside, they would say, hey, you got this game out so far. The biggest YouTubers did play your game, PewDiePie, Markiplier, you must be rich already. Like, there are tens of millions. But what I must say, this was not our case. Let's Players, and I think the awareness is rising that Let's Players can as easily bring up your game as they can kill it for you. And it wasn't the case with KHOLAT. I mean, KHOLAT did okay, but it certainly wasn't elevated by Let's Players. I mean, it was made everywhere, but the game was so short and it was such a good view that people who already watched it and did watch it on YouTube, they found it satisfying enough to leave it alone. I mean, they started to pick up the game after a certain time when we already started promotions. So it was obvious that, people went to see the game. They did enjoy the video. They did enjoy the game. But in our case, a game that is 3 to 4 game hours long, we saw that we were found like, we were the victim of Let's Plays. Of course, in quote, because nobody is the real victim here. But yeah, it didn't elevate us. So yeah. Hope this answers. Yeah. Thanks.
Guys, I'd like to ask, why did you choose Unreal over the Unity, for example? And we saw you have only 3 developers, and the project seems big, and it's because the blueprint systems, it's the lifesaver here, or?
First of all, we've started using Unreal 4 at the beginning of development of KHOLAT, which also was like, let's say, the beginning of Unreal Engine 4. So, it was a really difficult time, you know, because every single update of Unreal was just, you know, changing something in our game, and we were like 3 days of work were just dumped, and it was difficult. But yes, that was because of a blueprints. Because for KHOLAT we had only one programmer, so we need some, you know, external help, and Unreal gave us this external help. And after development of KHOLAT, we felt really good with Unreal Engine 4 because it's a pretty good tool. And when we started developing of 7, the prototype of the game was created on Unreal Engine 3. So, well, it was, you know, it was pretty easy just, you know, to take it to Unreal Engine 4. And core of our team was already experienced with that tool after the KHOLAT, so they could help the new people that join our team. And at that time, we had already direct contact with Epic, and the guys are really helping us a lot. So right now, well, basically Husk also is based on Unreal Engine 4. So we feel pretty confident with that engine. So.
Hi. So I would like to ask you about the release date. What was your solution or answer to the situation that the Steam sale was up and that your game was flooded by the others? What would be your advice to others if ever such situation happens? What did you do?
Sorry, could you please repeat?
What did you do about the situation that you released your first game at the same time as the Steam sale came up? So what was your answer? What did you do so that you coped with it the best as you could?
Well, the situation was pretty difficult because, like Bartosz mentioned, like Steam doesn't give you a second chance, you know. So all of our visibility was just, you know, smashed by Steam sales, and we need to figure out what to do next. So we were pushing all our marketing effort just, you know, to make a game visible, but it was not through Steam, but through the standard channels, like, you know, like our social media and stuff like that. But obviously, it doesn't give you such a visibility as Steam gives you. But you've got like other opportunities through the year. We've got a couple of opportunities from Steam for sales of our game. We've got a couple of opportunities from other digital distribution platforms. It's very important not to go only to the Steam, but also to go to a different, to the other digital distribution platforms, like, I don't know, Humble Bundle, like Greenman Gaming, Amazon, and stuff like that, because they are also giving you a lot of visibility. And even if they are not giving you such a much attention that Steam would give you, if you have like 10 or 20 such a platforms, well, still you can just, you know, go to a lot of gamers, you know.
Yeah, it was definitely a challenging situation, and I must say that, you know, we went through it and we recapped, you know, our investment in KHOLAT, in so much so that we did decide to port to PS4 and then, you know, to still work with the game. But at that point, we had to quickly reschedule our marketing activities, and we tried to push as much in social as possible. But we also went to a lot of, you know, to a lot of events afterwards to promote the game. We knew that we have a decent game, so it was not like, you know, we gave up on it instantly. And very well that we didn't, because, you know, if we did at that point, we probably wouldn't be able to afford to develop to develop 7, which would be a shame. And so yeah, what was very surprising for us is that once we made through the hardest time, it seemed that you can still get a lot of revenue coming from other parts besides Steam, from bundle opportunities, and generally from other sources as well. As a publisher, we had it a bit more easy because we have those deals in place with those platforms and distribution partners. So we used that to the extent of it to make the most of it, and that was it. And thankfully on PS4, KHOLAT is doing surprisingly well, like over the half of the sales on PC, which is great, and it's still going. So yeah, it enables us to give some space right now. Thanks. Pavel went missing.
Hello. Hello. Thank you for the presentation.
Hey.
I have one question. It relates that you said that the gaming industry and the people working within gaming industry should have fun within the development process and so on. On the other hand, well, for example, you are some kind of producers of the game, then the issue is also with the money. And there is a constant fight inside of you somehow to have a fun. On other hand, you see your bank account going down. Yeah? And this is a bit of stress, and this is a bit of tension. And for example, the more the progress as your game is progressing, you see that the fulfillment, and even when you doubled cost and whatever you did, you are still not in time, and you are still short of money. Yeah? And what is your recommendation in these situations, because they are occurring pretty often? What is your approach to solve those situations? Still to keep some kind of fun within the company, but on the other hand to improve the performance and to deliver your deliverables.
Yeah, right.
Thank you.
Yeah. What I must say is that everything comes to a good plan, to plan it beforehand, because I could never be so relaxed, with the vision that in time, I don't know, in short amount of time, I would run out of, my company would run out of money to develop the game. So thankfully, I was never in such, a very edged position that, we did completely run out of money. Maybe it's because of what we have said, that we are really planning what we do, and we are never, aiming higher for what we cannot afford to. But again, yeah, it's hard, in those situations when, that the atmosphere in the studio is often very relaxed, and it is our responsibility to make sure that it stays that way, that someone needs to take the burden. I mean, needs to think about the back end and to think about all the costs that are coming out so that the others can do the job. But it's still fun for us. I mean, I don't know, maybe it's kind of like, not so healthy, but, we are managing to have a lot of fun.
Yes, definitely we do. But if we would find ourselves in such a situation, I think that with 7 right now at the state that we have at this moment, we could go and look for some kind of an investor that would help us, because the game already looks pretty promising, and we can say as a publisher with experience, we can say that at this point 7 looks really promising. And I believe that we could take a look for some kind of investment from the private investor or from a bigger publishing company or whatever. Fortunately, we don't need it at this point, and hopefully we're not gonna need it in the future. Yeah, but this is, I think, one of the solutions that we would think about it as, for example, I don't know, Kickstarter is always a difficult process, and Kickstarter would take really a lot of time to prepare the campaign in a proper way. Right now, to prepare a good campaign on a Kickstarter, it takes several of months, and it takes also a huge chunk of money to make it in a good way. And if you are in the middle of the development process, you just have no time to prepare it in such a way. So my best shot would be investment.
And never panic.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for the presentation. Thanks for the Q&A.
Thanks.